Cities and climate change. This module introduces the theme of climate change in urban areas. The world is becoming more and more urban, and therefore cities are important actors in addressing climate change. The module will cover both how cities are affected by climate change and how cities are contributing to climate change. In addition, the module will look at how climate change adaptation and mitigation can be considered in urban planning and identify concrete measures. Several examples of how cities can play a transformational role in addressing climate change are presented. Section 1 highlights that cities hold the potential to play an essential role in the global transition towards green and climate-resilient development. It sets the scene by looking at some key demographic, socio-economic and environmental trends. It illustrates the transformative role of cities, both in addressing the challenges and taking advantage of the opportunities presented by climate change. The photo on the slide shows Paris, the capital of the host of the 21st session of the Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. The world has been urbanizing rapidly, and this trend will continue. However, different regions have very different rates of urbanization. Africa was the least urbanized region in 2010, with less than 40% of its population residing in urban areas. Northern America and Latin America and the Caribbean were the most urbanized regions, with around 80% of their population being urban. Most of the future population growth will take place in urban areas in developing countries. Cities play an important role in the economic development of a country, as many businesses are located in urban areas. Yet, the prosperity generated by cities has not been equitably shared, and a sizable proportion of the urban population remains without access to the benefits that cities produce. The video draws attention, in an animated format, to issues caused by rapid and uncontrolled city growth.
Cities generate over 75% of the world's wealth. This attracts lots of people looking for a better future. But more people need more housing. Lack of affordable housing means that living in slums is often the only alternative. There is now an increased need for basic services. These services are often expensive and don't work well. The consequence? Diseases and epidemics become the norm. People need to earn a living. If they can't find regular jobs in their city, they will look for money somewhere else. Informal economies boom, as do illegal activities. Many cities currently follow traditional urban planning with strict zoning. Residential over here, industries over there, commercial in the middle, more residential suburbs all around. The result is urban sprawl. Cities get wide. And wide means that people need to travel longer distances. How do they travel? Mostly by car. This results in huge jams. This slows down not only traffic but also a city's economy. Cities are big polluters. They account for as much as 70% of global greenhouse gas emissions, the main cause of climate change. As a result, natural disasters and storms test the resilience of our cities more than ever. Loss of lives, destroyed property, and economic downturn are a global problem. In the face of all this, cities need to rethink themselves. Cities need to have a holistic, all-inclusive approach to their development so as to accommodate more people and provide equal opportunities for all. So what is a city that works? Cities need to get their street grid right, with sufficient intersections to ease traffic flow, enhance access and interconnect the city. Cities need to embrace mixed land use, become more compact, blending residences, offices, shops, amenities. This cuts the need for long commutes. Cities also need to get their social mix right, promoting neighbourhoods with a variety of housing types for all budgets. Well-planned cities increase their job numbers by 15% by being just that, well-planned. But cities need to look beyond this, providing the right incentives for the economic sector to strive and focusing on providing jobs to the urban poor. Slums need to be upgraded and connected to the city, not only in terms of mobility, but also socially, to create a strong overall social tissue and foster inclusivity. Universal access to basic services is paramount. Cities also need to provide enough land for public spaces, at least 30% of their footprint. Public spaces are vital for social exchange. They are spaces for leisure, fitness and culture, and where citizens interact. Cities need to free themselves from the dominance of cars by setting up attractive, affordable public transport systems and promoting non-motorised mobility such as walking and cycling. That will not only reduce congestion, but also help to curb pollution. Cities need to become greener to help alleviate the effects of climate change and provide a clean environment for their citizens. At the same time, cities need to become resilient to the increasing adverse effects of climate change. All this makes for a happy city.
It portrays urban challenges and suggests solutions that can be taken. Cities can be sources of innovation, solutions, and opportunities to improve the lives of their populations. The video sets out the vision of a holistic, all-inclusive approach to urban development that will lead to resilient cities, where citizens benefit from adequate housing, economic opportunities, public transport and non-motorised mobility, and access to basic services and public spaces in a clean and greener environment. The video also emphasises inclusivity and equal opportunities for all. Cities both contribute to and are affected by climate change. The world's cities are responsible for up to 70% of global greenhouse gas emissions, while occupying just 2% of the world's land surface. This trend is likely to continue in the future, with most population growth taking place in cities. At the same time, the effects of climate change, such as rising sea levels and extreme weather events, can impact negatively on the urban infrastructure and people, and more broadly on economic growth. Not acting on climate change will hamper the effectiveness of other development policies, such as education, health, and poverty. For example, climate change can lead to detrimental health effects in slums, loss of property and possessions, and ultimately more poverty. On the other hand, climate change adaptation and mitigation can lead to benefits in other policy areas. For instance, climate change mitigation in the form of improving public transport in a city can both reduce greenhouse gas emissions and improve air quality. Similarly, investing in renewable energy is a climate change mitigation measure that can lead to the creation of new jobs. Building roads that better withstand the effects of climate change is an example of an adaptation measure that can stimulate economic growth. Multiple development goals could be achieved by carefully designed climate change policies. Cities are centres of development and innovation thanks to diverse social and cultural networks, the presence of highly skilled labour, close exchange between science and industry, etc. Cities also benefit from economics of scale due to their higher density. This makes it cheaper and easier to take action. Cities are therefore ideally placed to test solutions for climate change mitigation and adaptation. There are many examples of cities implementing innovative solutions. This video presents Inter Alia, the EcoCasa project in Nuevo León, Mexico. EcoCasa is a project implemented by the Mexican government in partnership with international development banks, which encourages housing developers to build homes designed to minimize greenhouse gas emissions.
In the case of EcoCasa, we are seeing how to to incentivize a change in the housing market towards more low-carbon technologies. We found, together with our partners, that the best way was to offer concessional bridge loans to developers that have a housing project that meets a certain level of emission reductions. The case of Mexico is particularly relevant because we can see these innovations happening in low-income housing.
Estamos participando con 1000 casas, 750 en Héroes Capellanía y 250 en Héroes Monterrey. Nosotros nos hemos dado cuenta que no está peleada la sustentabilidad con el precio y con el dotar de una mejor vivienda a la población. Es una ecuación que se puede combinar muy bien. Desde hace poco más de 5 o 6 años hemos estado trabajando con calentadores solares, con reducción de agua, con reducción de calor en las casas, el aislamiento térmico, el tipo de acabados que le ponemos, las medidas adicionales en temas de sustentabilidad.
Decidimos comprar esta casa por cómo está hecha, ¿verdad? Y por la comodidad que nos ofrece. El ahorro energético es importante para nuestra economía, sobre todo. Pues ya no tenemos la necesidad de comprar algún aire acondicionado o alguna otra cosa, ¿verdad? Para sentirnos más cómodos. Y ahora pagamos una cuarta parte de electricidad.
Nosotros sentimos que en el momento que esto se masifique y que podamos hacerlo de manera total para todas las viviendas que se desarrollan en nuestro país, definitivamente habrá menos emisiones y todo esto mejorará. Y esto se va a poder replicar. Estoy totalmente convencido.
The case is particularly interesting because it includes low-income housing, illustrating that sustainability is compatible with affordability. C40 is a growing network of megacities taking action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. This video illustrates the challenges cities are currently facing and how best practices can be exchanged in areas such as public transportation, sustainable lighting, housing, etc.
The problems that city faces, they're pretty much the same.
Mayors aren't ideologues. They are executives that have to deliver.
As cities, we share a common understanding of the challenges of climate change, but also a common understanding of the solutions.
The C40 is sitting in the perfect space for an organisation that can actually deliver the outcomes that we all need.
We have to move beyond talking about the challenges of greenhouse gas emissions, about climate change. We have to do something.
Jakarta, as a member of C40, get so much experience for the other city. We have several programs assisted by them.
Through C40, we have been implementing transportation, housing, sustainable lighting. I think we have a lot to share from that experience with other cities in the world.
Well, the thing about C40 is it means every individual city doesn't need to reinvent the wheel. It makes taking the action more cost effective. Through these networks, we can learn the best practice and what has worked and what hasn't worked.
Our participation in C40 has enabled us to access best practice internationally by other cities, to benchmark our programs against other cities, but to also tap into the technical expertise that's being provided by C40.
Everywhere you go, you're going to find very original solutions for problems that you might have in your city and you don't know how to deal with the problem yet.
I think you have to act locally to get global results, and that's what C40 is really all about.
The case studies have shown that cities are promoting innovative approaches to address the challenges posed by climate change, and that they also take advantage of the opportunities related to low emission development. However, cities in particular in developing countries also encounter challenges when it comes to effective urban planning under changing climate conditions.